secondhand coat. I want a yacht, not a cheap little boat. I tell my daddy not to be depressed. All I need for happiness is the best. I want a diamond, nothing else has appeal. And when it comes to men, you know how I feel. I want a real man. Give me a real man, you know what I mean. I want a real man. Oh, real man, you're what I need.
Okay, here we go. We're going to start the show. I love it. Good to see you. Let's have it. Hey, welcome to Real Men. This is the show where men get real. I'm Tim Steeves, your host, and we've assembled a great panel of all-star talkers to get it started. And today we're serving up a big heaping bowl of the Tim Rykert. How you doing, Timmy?
Hey, man.
Good to see you.
Talking to Krista here. That's all right.
That's okay.
I got distracted. I don't know how.
Also joining us, Chuck Byrn is in the house today. Good to see you, Chucky doll.
Good to be seen.
And Krista Sutton has dropped by. Always good to see Krista.
I don't have a nickname yet.
What? Okay, well, I'll think of something.
They do.
Sexy bum or something. Okay, and here comes Jean-Paul is with us today, too. Hi, Jean-Paul.
What's happening? Everybody cool?
Everyone's good. And that's how we're going to get it started on this first segment. We'll throw it over to JP for comments. JP?
Husband battering. Is it a big joke or is it a serious social ill? Well, from my perspective, I actually think it's a big joke. Now, I'm not going to deny that wives are battering their husbands. I'm not going to deny that exists. But if your woman is so much bigger and stronger than you, then you knew the possibility of catching an ass whooping when you got into that relationship. Because my mama always told me, if you stand long enough in traffic, eventually a car is going to hit you. So people say, why do you think it's a joke? I got two words for you, man. Lionel Richie. That dude's career dropped faster than he did once his wife punched him in the stomach. Anyway, I'm gonna throw this back to everybody. Tim, big joke or serious preventative social ill?
That's really what we're talking about here in this first segment, JP. Jump into the couch, buddy, and we'll find out what's what. I mean, that's, JP, maybe that's it. Just marry somebody that you can handle? Is that the trick?
That's what I'm saying, man. If your woman could put you in a full Nelson, that's not the woman you want to be with.
What do you think, Chucky Byrn? Is this a serious situation?
I think, it's a serious situation if you're getting hit. It's always, I consider being hit fairly serious. But I don't think it's necessarily that the women are physically stronger than the men, so much as I think the women are preying on the fact that they know the man isn't going to hit them back.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women know how far they can go before a guy, they just watch his eyes. They know when they're about to get hit if they're pushing that line. And I think a lot of women push that line and they'll hit. I mean, a wife throwing something, a vase at a husband is an image you see a lot of in movies, television, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you reverse that and people really start to, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that some of the statistics we were talking about are earlier, sitting around here, a lot of it is initially emotional abuse. There's a lot of emotional abuse, and I think that's part of the statistic of battered husbands initially. And then I'm not denying the fact that these women are potentially hitting their husbands. I actually knew a guy who came in once with scratches all over his face from a girlfriend, and he said, of course, I couldn't hit her. But
because that's the training.
The one thing I always have with this is battered women is a very serious issue. Very, very serious issue. And this to me is kind of like, male menopause. Yes, it's very serious. I'm not denying that. But again, it's a women's issue taken over in the language of
It's probably pretty hard to get us. It's probably pretty.
You're fuming.
You're fuming?
You're just not going to keep this face off.
Oh, okay, hold on. But it's probably pretty hard to get a clear stat on this because if you are getting beat up by your wife, you're probably not going to be jumping right on the phone and telling somebody about it, right?
Well, it's true.
Nor
It would be
would-
a huge...
The stats are out, so someone's getting on the phone and saying,
Well,
my wife's hitting me.
But also you're
I'm sorry.
You have a bad attitude.
Oh, I'm so
Tim, you're
unsympathetic.
obviously a little unsympathetic to
Just
dude
a
who's taking an
little.
ass whooping,
I
man.
understand. I know you love her and you just love her and you want to make it work and she's and you just want to stay with her. But I just want to say, loser. I mean, come on. I have a tough enough time dealing. I understand the fear that battered women have of, I can't leave him because he'll kill me.
Yeah.
I understand that
I can't
fear,
leave
but
because my
a
kids will
guy
starve.
is get the hell out of there. Get away. There's no excuse for going, but I want to stay with her because I love her and she just hits me though, but I love it. Shut up!
Totally agree with Tim, man, because like I said, I can see how women would stay in that relationship because we live in a male-dominated society. But for a dude to stay because I figure if you're in that relationship and you're getting that ass beat, you like it.
Where does Phil Hartman fall into all this? You know, like
Well, he was. I don't think she ever hit him once. I think she just took out a gun one day and put a bullet
Well,
in
I
his
think
head.
there was also probably a lot of emotional abuse going on before. I mean, I can't speak to the specifics of it.
And the combination of having a big pile of cocaine and a couple of guns in the house is always a win.
That's
That's the winning combo.
Yeah.
Emotional abuse, I have a lot of sympathy for. There are some, you know, on both sides.
I mean,
there's a lot
that's
of
how women fight their wars with men.
yeah, and
Why?
dirty too. Like
Very
you,
dirty.
You can get very belittling about a
I'm
guy's
used to
job
that.
or
You
about
can
a
get
guy's.
out then.
Yeah, I'm
like,
used to that.
The first time you notice, my wife's really emotionally abusing. Screw you, get
Oh,
out of
yeah,
there,
absolutely.
go. So that's why I lose the sympathy.
you spend a lot of your life looking for a woman to marry. You find one, you marry her, you have a couple of kids, and things turn bad.
Yeah.
You don't just want to pack your bag and leave.
Why not? Boo-hoo. Be a
Well,
good
you
dad.
got
Be a
kids
good dad in the
involved,
divorce
yeah.
situation. But men, you know, I understand it more from a woman's perspective because it is harder for a woman to rehook up at midlife or something. But men can go out and get a mail-order bride, and there's no worries about
the simple solution.
It's not that. What if I can't find another woman?
Get one
What
on
if I can't
eBay.
find another woman?
Get a woman on
Shut
eBay.
up, you
Krista, do you
loser.
think the husband battering thing is more about emotional or physical?
I have to believe that it's going to be more about emotional abuse.
Do you know what I mean by that? Like
Yeah,
one
I
of the
mean-
guys was saying how it's more about the guy, her knowing the guy's not going to hit her back. Do you think
yeah.
it's about that?
Oh
But I
yeah,
mean-
because they won't, for the most part. If they're beating the crap out of each other, I have no sympathy
Well,
for either
have you
of
ever
them.
gotten into a fight with a guy and pushed him?
Who's asking? No,
Oh, yeah.
I have before.
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, but you continue to push in the knowledge that this guy isn't going to hit me.
Well, I've never gone.
But
yeah,
when
I've never
guys,
gone as
but
far.
when guys get into arguments with other guys, they know
There's a line.
there's a line that you don't go
We're out of
past
time.
because you're going to get hit.
Out of time for this segment, so nicely done, panel. When we come back, we're going to be talking about nature versus nurture. What makes you, you? And we'll be joined by Enza Supermodel to break that down. And also, we were talking to Joe Q Public. Let's play that.
You're watching Real Men.
Big hand for the band. Welcome back to Real Men. This segment, we're going to talk about nature versus nurture. What makes you, you? Environment or breeding? And joined by a very special guest who can uniquely talk to the subject, Enza Supermodel.
Thank you. It's
Thanks
a pleasure being here.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And to get the segment kicked off, we'll throw it over to Tim Rykert with a commentary. Go ahead, Timmy.
That's right. What is it that makes you you? Is it just some genetic code that has been handed down by some ancestral forebearer? Or are you a product of your environment? Is it your surroundings, your teachings, your parents, your friends? Are these the things that mold you into the person that you are? I often wonder when I see a long-haired hippie freak, and I know I'm one to talk, but you know what I mean, the real hippie freak with the long hair and the beard and the jean jacket, and I'm wondering, is that guy born with some kind of free spirit gene in him? Was he meant to turn out that way? Or did he just smoke a joint when he was 15 and go, long hair's cool? How did he become that way? I met a huge guy once, this guy I know, a buddy of mine. He's bigger than me. His arms are the size of my legs. He's a massive man. He could be in there taking on Holyfield, for God's sakes, but he's the most gentle, kind-hearted person I've ever met. How did he get that way? Is it a gentle gene in his system, or did he accidentally crush a bunny when he was 9? Me, myself, I'm a comedian, and apparently I'm pretty good. I make a decent living at it. I guess I have some kind of talent for this. Where'd that come from? Was I blessed with a funny gene that dates back to the jesters of Old England? Or was I so horribly tormented and beaten up by my high school peers, I was forced to come up with my comedy chops as some kind of a revenge and defense mechanism? Well, look at me now. I'm on TV. You're not on TV. You're the geek! You're the geek! Back to you, Tim.
Nice job, Timmy. Posing a few of the key questions and maybe a little payback, too, for those little. All right. Enza, what do you think? Kick it off, Enza. Nature, nurture. How did you end up with a dress on and arms big enough to, as Tim would say, take on Holyfield, you know?
Well, for me, it's more of nature. Like I knew from way when I was little that this is what I wanted to do, right? And it just grew from there. And I knew that, you know, growing up that I was in like the wrong body sort of thing. But, you know, but it takes a lot of work to get to this point where you could confidently go out and say, this is who I am and I'm proud to be like this, right? So you know, at a point there was a little bit of nurture, but it started off all being nature. So.
I have the same thing. Like I have a very good friend who's a drag king, and
Yeah.
she herself said that she all her life felt like she was
Yeah.
trapped
oh, yeah.
in a woman's
Trapped in
body.
the body. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like being trapped
when
in a
there's
woman's
not
body.
that gender confusion or whatever you want to call it, what makes us?
I go back to, you know, the thing at the end about the high school kids. It was a bit of a joke, you know. I certainly had I did develop a bit of my comedy chops in high school. I wasn't the most popular kid, but I honestly do believe it's mostly. I think you're a product of your nature. You're a product of what you are. All the nurture things along the way, all your environment, it affects it in little ways, but it can't conquer. It can't change you. I think if you're born an evil person, you're not going to be a nice person when you grow up. If you're born a nice person, you might be a little less nice based on if your surroundings are.
Do you believe that,
such.
Chuck?
Well, I think nature gives you the lump of clay, and your environment turns it into something.
Sure, but you're always clay.
I think, yeah, but you're always going to be clay, or you're always going to be bronze, or you know what I mean? Like, nature gives you your foundation, and I think your family, your upbringing, and your environment kind of steer you somewhere.
Do you think, Chuck, it's like you're dealt a hand, but then you're allowed to draw from the deck a couple of times if you
Yeah,
want?
you're allowed to draw, you know, and what cards you choose to throw away are
Exactly.
kind of up to you.
Like for me personally, I feel the sense of being trapped in a different body as well, because there are times I feel like a white guy. Like I think I'm a white dude trapped in a black man's body. You know what I mean?
What the hell does that mean, JP?
I got good credit. I've got good credit.
he looks down and goes, "What the hell?"
Seriously, I've got good credit. Little penis. I'm kidding. I don't have good credit.
And great complexion. Look at that.
Okay. But no, I agree. I think you're born with an innate sense of whatever it is. I think it's just genetics, because you know, whether you're funny or you're talented sports-wise or whatnot. And like Chuck was saying, it depends on what environment you grow up. I think that kind of molds.
I was going to say, it's got to have something to do with the environment. The breeding, sure, but I mean, how you're treated,
and
how
I also
people
think
treat you when you're a
environment can
kid.
probably trump nature at some point.
I think
I think
so.
if you
I
grow
wanna
up,
know
I think
I
if you
agree.
grow up with a lot of abuse, you grow up with a lot of poverty, I think sometimes that can just overwhelm, you know, even if
Yeah.
you're a smart
I don't
kid.
think it can
Just
crush it
jump in there
completely.
and
I think it can influence it.
Yeah.
I don't think it can crush it completely. I feel an inherent goodness, and a lot of us don't know whether it comes from our genetics or what happened to us up until we were 5, because you don't remember those years.
Let's get Enza
Well,
in here.
you're right. I can't remember those years, those like growing up years at 5, but I knew that once I started, this is what I wanted, I started finding that environment that I wanted to associate with. You know, hanging out with the other drag queens and living in that community where there's transsexuals and transvestites and
But as a
drag
kid,
queens.
did you hang out with little girls?
You know what? I hung out with girls, you know, but I never was attracted to them, you know.
Right.
Like going through high school, you were sort of pressured to do that dating thing, and I tried it, and I was like, no way, not for me. I can't do this. And it was like so unbearable. Like you were just fighting to get out of this environment.
Where
Was
did
there
you
a
grow
time
up,
when you were
Enza?
going- Sorry.
Where did
What's
you
that?
grow up?
I grew up in Toronto, and I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. So like, what made it even worse was, you know, being Italian and Catholic, right? You had to suppress
They're very
it,
tolerant.
right? And I was an altar boy too, so wearing
Wow.
the gowns was like a treat. You know?
So you're like a full version of nature really fighting
Yeah.
through
Oh
nurture.
my God. It
Because-
was. Yeah.
Sure, everything in Enza's environment growing up would
Oh.
have led him away from what his nature was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nowhere in your environment growing up where it was like, yeah, Enza, dress up like a woman and be a
Oh,
woman, you know.
But now she's here.
So this is my point, that
Exactly.
the nature will conquer through no matter
Yeah,
what the
push through.
environment is. I mean,
Yeah.
you couldn't have had more pressure on you growing up not to be this.
It was horrible. Like it was so depressing, you know. Like, you know, you were just dying.
Okay, we got to
to
sell some stuff.
For me, okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
JP, to cut you off, buddy. We got to sell something. Pay the bills, baby. When we come back, we're going to talk about men and phobias. Enza, you want to hang?
Yes.
Stay with us. We'll talk
Okay.
about some phobias. You can speak
Sure.
to that.
Okay, yeah,
Talk about
for
men and
sure.
phobias when we come back. According to my carefully refined stats here, phobias are the second most common psychiatric illness among men over 25. Tim, do you have any phobias?
I have a fear of opening up on television. I'm
Feeling it's your problems on
A
television.
deep-seated fear of the first
National
question being posed
Now,
to
did
me.
your mother give you that?
afraid of claustro. I'm claustrophobic.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm deathly afraid of being shut in. I was actually, and here, I know where it comes from, so a lot of people don't know where it comes from. When I was a kid, and my sister and I would wander around the shopping mall while our parents did the grocery shopping. One time, I climbed in this locker, this little locker, this big locker. I was a little kid, I got in there, closed the door. My sister thought she was funny.
I locked you in.
Locked it and left me in the locker. Not for very long, for like 10 minutes, but oh my God, because, oh my God.
Superhuman strength.
10 minutes
Yeah.
isn't long?
Yeah, 10
Yeah, you're
minutes
right,
is
you're
plenty
right.
when
10
you're locked in a
minutes is
box.
long, man.
Was that was it just?
You know what? It might have been 2 minutes and felt like 10. It was more like it.
The nature versus nurture thing, though, was it something that was a switch that was triggered off, and were you know what I mean?
I
'Cause
I
had
never
the
would have
same
got in
way.
that locker if I was claustrophobic before I went in there.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah. I think it was after that.
My brother stuffed me in a trunk and sat on it.
Yeah.
Forever.
See, my thinking is, if you're, like, the fear of being buried alive is supposed to be the #1 phobia, but come on now, aren't we all afraid of being buried alive?
Well, you know,
It's claustrophobia.
But it's
isn't it?
claustrophobia.
You know, I read that statistic, and I had never actually thought about being buried alive until I read that
I have.
statistic.
Oh man, you haven't seen movies on that and stuff, or they
But
just.
but this
It never
kinda-
occurs that it's going to happen to me in my day-to-day life.
Exactly. It's not like-
And
Downstairs.
Chuck,
at the-
I've seen you sleeping in the back room there. You look pretty dead. I could have buried you
well,
this
yeah,
morning. I
you
thought-
could have, but you know, I wouldn't have noticed.
Enzo's,
what my phobia is functioning as a man.
yeah,
The
that's,
days that I have to, well, I can't get dressed, you know, I have to function as a man, and dealing with people. I'm so afraid of dealing with people.
Get
as a
out of here,
guy.
really? Really?
Yeah. Oh,
that's-
trust me, I don't have any balls to deal with people as a guy. So
interesting.
yeah,
That makes
What
absolutely.
kind of stuff when you're being a guy, for lack of a better phrase?
Yeah.
What do you wear? Like just
I wear regular
general
pants.
Are you
know,
extremely stylish or just whatever?
Just really loose, not stylish at all, but really loose. But I'm very hidden. Like I don't really expose myself too much as a guy. But
kinda shut in.
You could
yeah,
get
very
arrested
shut
for that,
in.
actually,
I
so
know.
it's a good thing you don't.
Do you think I'm sort of freak? Some sort of a freak?
No, not at all.
Look how you're running
But
the mill drag queen.
what's interesting is
Same old,
is
same
it
old.
you're uncomfortable as a man, or is it just that you're so much more comfortable dressed as a woman?
I'm so more comfortable dressed as a woman, right? I'm more confident. But the fear factor is being a guy is that you have to deal with people, which I don't know how to do. You know, how to expose that confidence, right? But wearing a dress and heels and, you know, you become into this energetic person, right? And that you develop this confidence.
It goes
Enza,
back
is
to
that
the
because you
Yeah.
have people on their heels, no pun intended, when they see you like this?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Do you think that confidence comes a little bit from when you're like this, you're so, not intimidating necessarily, but, you know, you put people on their heels a little bit?
Exactly. They're more attentive to you, you know.
They're a little flustered.
Exactly, and they want to know what you're doing, what's going on, sort of thing, right? So they give you a little more of attention, right? But as a guy, I'm very down, very morbid, very.
Well, let's-
It kind of ties into
You
the
say you have low,
phobia of
as a man,
public-
do you think you have low
Public speaking.
self-esteem?
Very low
Or as a
self-esteem.
woman, you're like, here I am.
I'm here,
hear me
baby.
roll.
I'm here.
Let's
you know,
refocus on the
so.
phobias.
We were saying, yeah, but it ties in, though. It ties
Do
in
I have
with
any
public
phobias?
speaking.
Yeah, JP, got any?
I'm afraid of Jamaican people because I was robbed once by a dude with a Bob Marley album, and it was a very sharp edge.
Wait a
on
minute,
that.
you're black.
No, I'm kidding. As far as phobias go, I think black people have an innate sense of fear of animals because my mom was afraid of animals. So, you know, I'd get a dribble, oh my God, get that thing out of the house. And she would, like, you know, freak out. That's why you never see any, like, black animal hosts, like, you know, the crocodile hunter and stuff like that. It's never going to be Leroy
She's a
from the Bronx.
beauty.
You know.
I love that the one black guy on panel is coming out with the big generalizations. That's right. I dig that.
I don't care. I'm going to say it and I
You see
say
that?
it.
There's a big croc in the water there, so we're going to get the hell out of here now. Is what we're going to do.
And then my eyes get really
black
big and I stick my
croc
butt out.
So, JP, you're a little scared of animals in general?
You know what? It's not as bad anymore, but I used to be really, really, like, deathly afraid of dogs. Because when I was a kid, one time in Trinidad, my grandparents owned a drugstore, and it was behind our house, or there at my grandparents' house. And what happened was we were at lunchtime going back to the house, and the dog that my aunt had, who just moved in with us, ran at my legs, and I jumped up on my grandfather, and I jumped up on his shoulders. The dog was still trying to bite me, and ever since that time, I'd been deathly afraid
That's
of
all
dogs.
the time. That's all the time we've got for this segment. But
Can I
we've
get
got more.
Kleenex?
We got more, so don't go away. We're going to talk about what we're afraid of when we come back on Real Men. Men get real.
Day with people's fear of dogs. Now that I have a dog,
Welcome back to Real Men. We've been talking nature nurture today, and we're going to revisit that topic now. What do you think, Chuck? What makes you, buddy?
I think primarily nature. But I think the nurture can steer you. I think what you were saying was very correct. You know, nature plays, I think, maybe 60-40 for me anyway.
I'd go a little higher than that with the nature.
Yeah?
Really?
Yeah, because when I was 5 years old, I would see other kids picking on kids that it wasn't right. You know, they pick on them because of their race or whatever. And I remember thinking, that's wrong. And I don't remember being taught that's wrong. I just remember feeling that is so wrong. And I've just grown up my whole life. I grew up in a really white trash neighborhood, and I've always felt different, and I don't remember being taught different. I just remember feeling it. So.
But were you in your home? Was the attitude, you know?
No. My parents. I'm not calling them racist, but they lived in an era when you didn't watch your tongue about certain things you said, and so.
I'm not
I
sure
grew up.
racism is nature, though. I'm wondering. I mean, so much of it to me is nurture. The kids who would come to school and be those kids are hearing it from mom and dad, and I never heard
I think
it as well.
racism is taught.
It's so
learned.
taught.
Yeah, I think it's learned.
I do believe that.
As kids,
I mean, there are some freaks out there who are saying, you know, we have an
gotta
inherent
teach-
fear.
yeah, you gotta
just
teach
plain
hatred and
I think
ignorance,
kids are inquisitive. So when something is different, whether it's your skin color or how big your nose is or how many teeth you have in your mouth, kids are so honest that they're going to say it. And I don't think they mean to be malicious. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I grew up, I was born in Trinidad, and we moved here when I was pretty young, but I moved back a lot. And I never wanted to be an outsider, because you know how hard it is moving to someone new. And I think I learned to mimic people so that I could fit in. So I think it's a bit of nature.
Inquisitive, I don't want to jump in here. I have to know where you get size 14 pumps from, Enza.
Well, I ordered them especially from.
Try 'em on,
I
baby.
ordered them especially from the U.S.
Would they fit you, Tim?
You want to try them? Here.
I've always wanted to do this.
Here we
This is
go.
our nature versus nurture
Okay, here's the
experiment.
Okay, here we go.
Okay,
We got a
hold
couple
you,
of
hold
seconds left here.
I have never seen.
Okay.
I've never seen a shoe this
Timmy's
size
going to
that I
try
can
in the
actually-
pumps.
Pumps learned from
Man,
nature.
what do you go, about
Hey,
6'10"
Timmy.
now?
Perhaps we've learned
I would
the
be-
answer to the question.
Man.
Who's the
now?
geek
We
now?
got to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in to Real Men.
It takes makeup forever to get that lipstick off.
Covered all the hot topics today. Join us next time where men get real.
Next.